Hello, everyone. Hi. Hello. Thank you so much for being here and thank you for joining us. If we haven't met before, if this is your first time attending one of my classes for Faber-Castell USA, hello. My name is Leigh Ralston, also known as Mommy Leigh on the internet. I'm super humbled and super excited and grateful to be here with all of you today. Thank you for taking the time to be here with us because I know your time is special and we value and appreciate that. Today's class, we're going to be doing some fun coloring. So I have this wood pumpkin that I got from Michael's, and then we'll go through the supplies that we're going to use today. So I'm going to head on over to my overhead camera and we'll get this class started. Okay, here we go. I wanted to make sure I have everything. I really do hope that I didn't forget anything. You know how that works. Sometimes it's perfect, sometimes it doesn't. But good thing I'm here in my studio and I can just kind of like walk around and grab some of the things that I don't have. So first of all, this wooden stamp, it's flat. This is $7.99, but if you're planning getting it, there's like great sales going on at Michael's for your Halloween supplies. You can grab some. And then I will be using the Liquitex acrylic medium. This is the clear gesso. This is going to be the base. And then we have some Mod Podge here. I'm going to use the satin because I kind of like it, not too glossy, but not matte. So, and then I have some glitters. We're going to use this later. Any glitter that you love will do. Actually, what we're going to do with our pumpkin, as you notice, this is not a traditional Halloween. I made it like rainbow just because I love happy colors. I also wanted to share this one. I created this one using the gelatos as well. So speaking of gelatos, this is what we are going to be using today as our coloring medium. Are you familiar with, you're using the real pumpkin, Giselle? I'm not sure how that's going to work. I guess if you have clear gesso, it should still work. But to me, I think you should use like a white gesso. That might work much better. Okay, so anyways, Faber-Castell Gelatos. Are you guys familiar with the gelatos? We did quite a few classes using the gelatos many different ways. But these are creamy pigment sticks. I love them because they're just so versatile. I've used these in what project? I think we created a pouch. So that was a fabric, canvas fabric. And then I use this for watercolors. I use this for journaling, for planning. That's why I love these so much because they're just so versatile that way. So I'm going to pull out some colors. We're going to talk about the colors in a little bit, but I'm going to pull them out so I have them. So I have yellow, pink, although the yellow and pink will turn into orange, but I might want some darker orange in here. Hi, May. Is it May? Hi, thank you so much. I do love my workroom as well. This is my happy place here. So I have all my crafting supplies in here, and it's just, once I'm here, it's hard to get me out of this room. But I have to get out or else my kids will not have dinner. So, okay, so gelatos come in many different types. There's like iridescent, there's metallic, there's like the bright. So it comes in sets, but you can also purchase these individually. So that's always good news. So that if you like to just try a little bit of color here and there, I think that's always nice to have that option. So available in open stock. Okay, so I have some colors in here that I think we're going to use. I want to start with the banana. This is from the classic set. And then we'll use the bubble gum. This is from the brights. And then we'll use some lime. So it's a beautiful green. It's pretty. It looks like a lip gloss tube. Look at that. This is the mechanism. So it's kind of like same as a lipstick and a lip gloss. And it's super fun. It's just so different. And then I know that this too will turn into orange, but I still pulled out some mango color and also blood orange, okay? Because sometimes you want to deepen the color, and so it's nice to have the darker shades of those colors that we have. So the green, and I pulled out some snow cone. Also, we have raspberry. This one is Galaxy. This is like a deep shade of purple. I really love this color here. Oh, Kelly May. Hi, Kelly May. Nice to meet you. Okay, and then lastly, we have some ice crurant. Is that how you pronounce it? How do you pronounce that? But it's like a metallic shade of kind of like a blood red, really, but it's pretty. Okay, so first of all, we are going to have to put a base in our wooden pumpkin here. And I'm going to be using clear gesso. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Sorry, Patty. Thank you so much. Okay, that's what we're going to do. So we have that in the middle. Okay, so if you want to cover your wood, like really cover it, you might want to use a white gesso instead of a clear one. But today I'm going to be using the clear gesso because I really want it semi-opaque. I don't want it fully covered, but just kind of like the wood will still peek through it. So I'm just going to apply all of it. I mean, put all of that there. And then I'm going to use a dry sponge here just so the drying time will be much faster, because if it's wet, it can take a little bit of drying time. Although I do have a heat tool here that I'm going to use because it does take a little bit of drying time. And I always get the question, what kind of heat tool I'm using. I'm using the one from Ranger. That's the one from Ranger. It is very quiet. That's why I really love this one. Also, make sure you have some paper towel on the side. I'm just gonna cover it up as much as we can. And if you're crafting along with me and you don't have this specific pumpkin, it doesn't matter, but we're still gonna have to cover our base. So the colors will really stick to the surface. And if you're going to color all around, even the back, of course, apply your gesso as well. Because I know my time is limited, I might not be able to finish the whole thing, so I'm not going to push my luck. For time purposes, we're just going to do the front. But I'm still going to apply it because you never know. Sometimes I move fast, sometimes not really. Oh, there you go. Yeah, absolutely. That will work. Yes. Or if you have like Christmas, anything Christmassy, you know, for the holidays, I really love like doing DIY stuff like this. Yes, I can buy it. You know, I can buy it from Michael's as well. Some great Halloween decoration, but I don't know. It's the process that I truly enjoy. And so it's the process that you can't buy. And so my husband would say, I wonder if you're going to save money if you just bought them. But what's the fun of that? Just applying, applying, applying. So if you have a blow dryer, if you don't have this heat gun, it's okay. You can just use your hair dryer. It's just the heat gun, it just works much faster. So because it gets really, really hot. And speaking of that, you want to make sure that you're careful because it gets really hot. All right, so I think it's there. I'm just going to grab my heat gun over here and we're going to dry this. If you're using a canvas, if it's prepped already, kind of like, you know how there's some that's primed already, then you don't have to apply the gesso. So you can buy some canvas already that's primed. You don't have to apply it. But if you're not, but if it's not, then I still think that you should use a primer. I really just love using a primer because it really sticks to the surface much better. The heat gun, I believe I got this from Michael's. I don't know if they still carry it. So it's from Ranger. It's a craft tool, and it's so tiny, it's not big. Look how small that is. That's my hand. I have tiny hands. And it's so quiet. My last heat gun that I purchased is super loud, and I could never use it for classes like this. I would have to mute myself because it gets really loud. And you're going to see the wood is already changing in color because of the heat also. It does something to the wood. Feel it. If it gets a little sticky, then it's still a little bit wet. I'm just going to go over the sides, the top as well. Oh, this one I applied a lot. You can really see it there. It's still shiny. Now, one thing to understand about gessos and primers, what's the difference from the clear and the white gesso? Usually the clear gesso is, it has toothy, it's a very toothy, so it has a little bit of that texture, but not a lot. I mean, depends on the brand as well. So you might find one brand is different than the other, but to me, that's one thing that I've noticed from the clear and the white gessos is that one is much smoother. So the white gesso is a little bit smoother than the clear one. Okay, but I think this is dry already. Okay, so gelatos from Faber-Castell, like what I was saying in the beginning, you can really use this medium so many ways. If you're going to use it in a canvas per se, you know, there's so many ways you can use it. You can pick up your colors using your brush. You can apply it in your art palette and then pick up the color from there, kind of like a watercolor, because these are water soluble. So it will move and blend with water. And that's what I love about it. Another extra thing that I love about it is that once it's been blended, smudged, and dried, it will stay waterproof. So that's why I love using the gelatos when I'm doing mixed media projects, because I know when I apply my first layer, I would dry it, heat it. That first layer will be my base and it will be set in there and it's not going to move if I apply another layer there. So it's really, really fun. Okay, so I'm going to open everything up. We have orange. Look how pretty this color. It's just such a bright pink. And with your medium, I think it goes with a lot of things. If you want more opaque, if you want more saturated colors, of course, you're going to have to use more products. If you want semi-opaque, then if it's water soluble, then you can definitely apply more water in there. I'm just making sure I'm arranging them in the right order that I want it. Okay, so I'm going to use the pink, the yellow, the orange. I'm just going to pull out the blood orange as well in case I need it to deepen that orange. We have green, blue, and purple. And let me grab that galaxy as well. All right, so we have all our colors. Now what we're going to do is I am just going to apply it here directly, kind of like a crayon. So you just apply it like that. Zoom a little bit. So I'm just going to do this. So we're going to create a gradient looking, clean gradient. We don't want any sharp blended colors in here because once we're going to, actually for this project, we're going to apply another gesso to blend all of this together. So we have that. Apply my pink. It's kind of like crayons. And remember, this is just your first base, but if you feel like, if you know you're going to want more saturated here, more colors in here, then go ahead and apply as much colors as you'd like. Pay attention though to the amount of pressure you're using when you're applying your gelatos. You don't want to hurt it too much. If you're familiar with my classes, I always talk about this, that I really have naturally heavy hands. So it can get really annoying sometimes because I apply so much pressure, whether I'm using brush pens or, products like this, like go lightly lay. So I am just using the mango color in here and just blending in some orange. Though, however, that yellow and pink will turn into orange anyways when blended. And then we're going to pull the green one. Green. So if you have some flat brushes there, this is what I'm going to be using for today. And then, actually, I used my not so great quality brushes because I know it's going to be used quite a bit, and I'm going to really apply pressure in here later to really blend in those colors. All right. All right, and then lastly, we're going to apply our purple like this. All right, so now I'm going to grab my clear gesso again. And we're going to use a brush. So look, I can also go and pick up some in here and just kind of like start from the top, from our lightest color first. And we're just going to move those colors in. Look at that. So it's going to blend like that. Go over here on the left side. I'm just going to blend them. I'm being mindful and just doing little strokes at a time. Because look, I'm pulling a little bit of the orange in there and I don't really want to pull that out so much yet. I'm just picking up that. If you have an art palette, you can use that and just put in your gessos in there or like this. So just picking up those gessos. And then we can go over this again later and blend everything much, much better. Right now, I'm just kind of like not being overly careful. I'm going to clean the brush, not in the water, because I don't really want to get any water yet, just cleaning it in a paper towel. So if you have like a scratch paper in there, that would work as well. I'm going to apply gesso that way. Moving this over like that. So now I know that the colors are really in there and blended and all that. I am going to go over this, clean up my brush again. So I'm just cleaning it up on the side. Or right now I don't have any choice. I'm going to clean it in my water. Just cleaning it there and then dabbing the excess water so we don't have a whole lot. I'm going to go back in here and start blending again. So pick up, clean again, and then blend over here again. When you're dealing with a water-soluble product, medium, it's really all about just trying to clean and your brushes every single blend, especially you're doing gradient colors like this. So all I can do is just kind of clean and clean when I want like clean, a lot of clean. So if I want a really clean blending like this, so I'm going to clean because look, I'm picking up some of the pink that I really don't want to. So I'm just mindful of my strokes from the top, the yellow to the pink this way. And then we're getting a little bit of that pink. I'm just going to clean my brush again and just move it again. And remember, like what I said, Gessos, gelatos are waterproof once they're dry. So we can come back later and really get another good layer of the colors in here if we want more saturation. So I'm just dabbing in the water. I'm just going to help blend all these colors. Patty, that's a good question. When you're applying your colors, I think feel it a little bit because I have heavy hands. So naturally, it's like as long as you're putting enough color to cover in your surface, I think that's good enough. You don't want to hurt too much of your gelatos. And also at the same time, it's like if you want it semi-opaque, then you don't want more products in there. But if you really want lots of products, then you can push, but just be mindful of how much. So this one, I'm really not super excited about all that green moving into the pink. So we're definitely going to dry this and add more pink in here. But again, that's the fun stuff because we get to blend and blend again. So I'm just, look at this, I'm just blending in one motion and one stroke. So everything's like downwards because I'm pulling all of these like that and pushing it down. So we're pushing down. So that's our motion. It's like the stroke would be just downward motion. Like this. Now with your colors, I really love this purple. I think I'm gonna go cover a whole, not a whole lot, but quite a bit of that blue and green. There. This one is a stencil brush. So this one is really hard. This one brush that I'm using. So it really leaves all those strokes. But if you're using an acrylic brush, it's going to be, the brush is going to be less dense, definitely much softer. And so it's easier to create strokes without leaving all these marks right here. And I'm not worrying too much because the second layer, I'm going to be definitely using the softer brush. And we're going to blend everything again. I'm just going to clean my brush. Right now, as you can see, we can see those wood part is peeking through. And I think I lied in the beginning. I think I really want it covered. So the second layer, I'm going to apply more colors. And the pink didn't stay well enough. I don't know if I blended it too much. So we'll definitely have to add more pink in here. The first layer is not perfect. It's okay. And I think that's one thing you're going to have to really embrace when you're creating is that sometimes you don't get it the first time perfectly. And that's okay because you can always come back in. Look at this. So right now, I feel like my orange is turning into muddy, but we can brighten that up in just a little bit. So let's zoom out. Here we go. And I'm going to dry. Everything on the side. Just going to dry this. And you know, if you have like a smaller pumpkins, you can definitely use this for table settings. That would be fun. Like put in personalized names. Definitely want to add more pink in here. And see, here's the thing, like what I said, once this dry, the first layer will stay in there. That's not going to move in our second layer. So we can, it's kind of like starting everything new again, and all these first layer is not going to move. That's going to stay. So we have our base safe. Like that. Can you guys hear how quiet this tool is? Makes me super happy. So it's definitely still a little bit dry because I'm picking up some of the colors with my finger. And when you're also using a heat gun or a heat tool like this, be careful when you're going too close. And I do this a lot because I am super impatient. I just want it to dry. If you get too close to your surface, your medium, the colors will start to bubble a little bit. But if you want that texture, I mean, that's an added bonus. But that's something that you can create. If you want like a texture in there, then know that that is what's going to happen if you get too close to your surface when drying. You see I'm getting a little bit of bubble in there because I'm being super impatient. But it's okay. The wood itself has texture already. And then I'm adding a little bit more texture. It's just going to be fun. Let's see. Just a little bit more. Let it sit there for just a little bit. I'm going to get more paper towel, clean my brushes for the second time around. Now here's a fun thing about the gelatos. Like what I said, they are water soluble and you can use it with water. You can actually use a baby wipes. If you've attended our class before, you know that I love using baby wipes to blend this gelato. So let's have this non-alcoholic baby wipes, and I'm going to use this one to blend our second layer. Because I'm not super thrilled about the strokes that I'm getting from the stencil brush. You might use this brush as well. So I just have it just in case. Okay, so we wanted a little bit more of that pink. Yes, yes, I really love it too. It's just, you know, it's very different. Some people like want it covered. I think seeing that it was wood, I think I love that texture. And so that's why I'm keeping some of the sides and all that. But if you want to cover it all up, I mean, that's good too. I mean, it's your project. Okay. And then I'll add more of my purple because I'm pulling up all these purple over here. Try to cover up the green. And then I'm going to use the galaxy color, but just on the bottom, like that. I'm just following the shape of this pumpkin. So I'm just adding it at the bottom part. And look at this. You can just use your baby wipes and wrap it in your pointer finger. And I'm going to just blend some of these like that. zoom in just a little bit. It is super pretty. Wait till we add some of the sheen back in here because we're going to use the Mod Podge to seal this, and it's just going to bring back some of those gloss if that's what you will end up using, like that. And then I'll show you, you can use just a brush also. So I'm just going to wet this brush. And grab those excess water. I just want to show you different ways how you can use it, because I think that's what's fun about being crafty and being creative, is that knowing what you can do, how you can push your, how you can push the medium, and just discovering many different ways to really use it. So I'm just using the brush. I feel like I want to add a little bit more of that pink over here at the bottom. Just a little bit there. Clean my brush. Dab the excess. Oops. I remember getting a question regarding the gelatos on YouTube. It was a good question though. She said that her gelatos was cracking a little bit, so it's not in a perfect condition. And she was asking if it's going to, still work the same. My question is really, yes, it is. It might not be perfect if you're going to apply it directly into your surface, but the thing is that you can apply it in your palette. Like what I used, you can use a little bit of clear gesso to kind of use it as your, to mix it with a gesso and use it as a paint that way. You can also just apply a little bit of water in your palette to kind of blend all those, melt all those grains, because look at that. We have some gelatos. Oh, you cannot see it, but I have little bits and pieces of the gelatos on the table, and it will still work the same. Ooh, this is looking like Halloween. Look how this galaxy purple, the dark one, is like looking really dark. Okay, so I want to do a much better blending than that. So I'm going to use my baby wipes because I feel like I have better control when I'm using the baby wipes. But be careful, don't apply too much pressure, because what you're doing is you're picking up those colors, the pigments, and then you're putting it in your baby wipe. So if you want those colors, the pigments, to stay in your surface, don't apply too much pressure. Just kind of like pick up those colors and blend it. You're moving it like that. I love that we have a totally different look from our first pumpkin that I showed you earlier. A totally different look. Now I want to add a little bit more depth onto the side. So I'm just applying it there. And you can also use your finger to smudge this. If you want to use your finger and really be messy and have a happy mess, you can certainly, most certainly do that. See? Really, Patty? Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like, look, so just get in there and really blend it and smudge it. When I'm doing a mixed media project in my journal, oh my goodness, my fingers and my hands are just full of colors. Happy mess is what I call that. But if you want a much smoother, then I think having the baby wipes kind of like makes it a little bit much smoother blending for me. Ooh, this is turning really spooky. It will be perfect for that glitter that I picked. All right, my table is quite a mess in here. Now I feel like I need a little bit of color in here, the purple. So I'm just gonna grab that light purple and just add it more. You can also like wet, look at this, the gelatos and pick it that way. So you can like really get in there and really add those colors. See all these ways you can use your gelatos? So much. Because, you know, you can't do this in a colored pencil, it'll be hard. In a watercolor, yes, absolutely can, but it's not going to be waterproof. You know, that is going to move. Oh, look at that. We added like water spots. It just added character to it, I think. Just going to blend it. The gesso, gesso is a primer, so that's your primer. Also, when I use the gesso the second time around, I kind of used it as a medium to blend all those colors together. But I wanted to show you many different ways how you can use it. That's why. I mean, you can skip the gesso when blending and just go directly to the waters. But for the purpose of teaching, I wanted to show you guys what the things you can do to blend the gelatos. And look at this. I'm switching from using my fingers to using a brush to using a baby wipes. Of course, the brush will have this, see all those bristles. So you're creating like strokes from using the brush. You can see it this way much better. So when you're pulling it up like this, you're creating these strokes. But if you don't want the strokes, then you can use the baby wipes instead and just create a very smooth gradient look. I know, right? It just created so much character to this painting that we're doing here. Can definitely do more. Should we do more water dots? Let's see. We have a different brush, but we can use this. It's not working for me. See how that's that going to work. I'm going to create splatters. But to create that splatter, we're going to have to pick up those colors. So just using the baby wipes, I'm just going to kind of like dabbing them to pick up some of those colors. Very gently. It just adds texture and character. Look. All right, now I'm going to dry. I'm going to grab a baby wipes and try to clean my working surface here. Again, if you want a little bit of texture in there, you can go as close and you'll see your project bubbling a little bit. Ooh, we can see some of the water spots. Definitely. That's super cool. Super duper cool. I'm going to go a little closer. Now the next step is going to be messy because we're going to use some glitters, and glitters are just, woo, they can be quite messy. So just be careful. I usually like having a piece of paper underneath my project when I'm working with glitter because it's the easiest way to clean it. And I'll show you that in just a little bit. Let me just clean the surface here. Be careful also when you have like colors like this because you know that's your project is going to pick those up. So I try to be a little clean when I can. Go back in there and dry this one. So now for the Mod Podge, that's your sealer. It can be your sealer. You can use Mod Podge as an adhesive, as a glue, stick things together. So that's what I'm going to use to get my glitters to stick to our surface in here. And then I'm going to use the Mod Podge again to seal everything, to coat everything. And again, you're going to know when it's dry when you're not picking up any more colors, but make sure that your fingers are dry when you pick up those colors because if they're wet. Then you're going to pick up some of the colors that you don't want to be picked up. It looks pretty spooky with all that dark purple at the bottom. If you have metallic pens, you can definitely like letter something in here, or like black pens that says trick or treat, you know, something super fun. Or you can draw the face of the pumpkin. All right. I think we're dry. Dry enough. Just a little bit here at the bottom. Okay, like what I said, the Mod Podge that I'm going to be using today is a satin, because I don't want it too glossy, but I don't want it pure matte. All right. Da-da-da. Okay, so we have that. I have a sponge that is not super clean. We can apply our Mod Podge. Just get my baby wipes in here. If you have a sponge brush that is dry, I think it's much better to use that, just because of the lesser drying time. I'm going to get a piece of paper to place underneath this project so we can pick up those glitter. All right. Like this. Pick up the Mod Podge. There are many different types of Mod Podge. If you're using it for your cups, your mugs, there's like dishwasher safe now. So there's so many fun things. And it's going to dry clear, so don't worry if you're like, oh no, we covered our color. It's all right. This will dry clear. But once it's wet, we want to stick our glitter in here while it's still wet. So I'm just going to apply much thicker coat over here on the bottom, because this is where I'm going to put most of our glitter. I'm just applying a little extra so that those glitter will really stick. Here we go. Oh yes, definitely. Those are great ones too. Faber-Castell has metallic ones also. Oh, this one's still brand new. Ah, be careful. Be careful, Lay. Right. We're gonna apply it. Do it this way. Just really be generous. Amount of glitter. Look at that happy mess. Definitely a happy mess. You guys see? Oh my goodness. Gonna tap the excess glitter. All right, set that on the side for a little bit. We definitely have to clean this up. If you don't have, just you don't want to throw all these away, because that's a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm just, oops, sorry, I should have done this at the beginning. Open up my container, grab here, and then take all that excess glitter. Let's see. So you don't waste too much. Just put everything back, grabbing my paper, my baby wipes, cleaning up. Now everything in this craft room will have glitter. After this project, please tell me I'm not the only one. And when my husband sees glitter, he's like, oh, glitter. It will stay for quite a couple of days. There we go. Now I'm just gonna grab my heat gun and then dry again. So I think when you're doing mixed media project like this, the long part is the drying part. You know, even when I'm working in my journal, the waiting part is the long part, because you're drying, you're applying your layer, and then you're drying that. But it's part of the process. I try to enjoy it as much as I can, because if not, I will not be doing mixed media. Look at that. We can definitely do a trick or treat lettering here. Jana, did it scare you? Did the glitter scare you guys? But this is so much fun, really. I think we should do a little bit of a mixed media next time in my journal. How many of you are doing some type of journaling? Journaling is something that I really try to do every day as much as I can, because it's look at this, we're getting textures, bubbles from the heat gun, because it's like, it's my source of joy. It's like vitamins, you know. So aside from doodling every day, I really journal, even no matter how short my sentences are. It's like part of my documenting and just putting down my thoughts to paper. It really does help me a lot. Can you guys see the texture, the bubbles from the heat gun? Look at that. So this is now really a pumpkin, because we have all these bubbly texture. If you don't want that, again, I know I kind of repeat myself a lot. I am a mom, so I do this a lot. Don't put your heat gun too close to your surface. But I wanted it intentionally, so I am putting it as close as I can, because I wanted to create those textures. See, the closer you get, the more texture you're gonna get. Look at that. If you're going to do some lettering here, then you might want to skip adding the texture, because you would like the surface to be as smooth as possible. I wasn't really planning on lettering anything. I just wanted to keep it this way, so I don't mind the texture. All right, but I am going to put in another layer of Mod Podge in there, but I'm going to skip that, and I'm not going to do that in front of the camera. Let me get in front of the camera and say goodbye to everybody. All right, let's see. Here we go. Do I have lots of, look at my hands. Yes, absolutely, Mary. The texture really was perfect for the pumpkin. Thank you guys so much for joining. And that was really fun and messy. But again, my name is Leigh Ralston, also known as Mommy Leigh. If you played with us today, it doesn't matter if it was a pumpkin or anything. We would love to see it. You can use the hashtag Make It With Michaels. Also, make sure to please follow Faber-Castell USA on social media. And I'm also on social media. My handle is @MommyLeigh. Look at that butterfly, Mary. Wow, that's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. You guys have a beautiful evening. Enjoy the rest of your night. Until next time, until next class. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.